What is DCD's role, or what is DC doing in terms of helping close that gap, right? I mean, I think
Yep.
the lower wages, lower education, less opportunity, certainly perceived, if not in reality, in some of our urban areas. And on the manufacturing front, something, I've been sort of working on in the background is, we've got this pool of people who are looking for employment. We've got these jobs, but they're not in the same place and they're hard to put them together.
So I'll say three things. I don't want to spend too much time on this in terms of being mindful of your show's time because I can talk for a while. But three examples that are going on now or happened recently. One, we announced a $50 million grant program for small businesses, less than 20 employees during COVID. And the governor directed 50% of that money to go to our distressed municipalities. So if you look at the numbers by business, approximately 20% of the state's businesses are in distressed municipalities, and roughly a third of the population is in distressed municipalities. But we earmarked 50% of the dollars to go to those areas. And at last checked, I think we were going to give out $10,000, $5,000 grants. I think we're close to $9,000 or $9,500 at this time. And 55% of those grants went to women or minority businesses, as an example. And that far exceeds, if you look at whether it's in the state or the country, the percentage of women and minority businesses. So we're trying to focus our resources, state resources and the federal resources, to areas that we know have been harder hit economically and hardest hit by COVID. Another initiative that I feel very passionately about is brownfields and redevelopment of these areas. So, brownfields, we want to make sure that, where we can rehab, whether it's old mills, contaminated spaces, whether it's for a new manufacturing facility or for a repurposed lofts. And you've seen a couple of that here in the Hartford County area. That's going to be a big focus of ours. And we're going to continue to make sure that we have sufficient funding and bonding for brownfields. And then I would say the last thing that we're doing right now that I think is going to be a big focus is the legislation that we're proposing this year from DECD. There's two parts of it that are very focused on the communities, especially the communities in need. One is the legislation on job creation to incentivize jobs in the state of Connecticut, whether you're moving here or just growing here. The benefit's going to be twice that in a distressed municipality or an opportunity zone as if you grow those jobs outside of one. So we're really trying to incentivize good paying job creation in our hardest hit areas. And then on the small business lending front, we're really going to refocus some of the resources, because previously the state of Connecticut was a very an active small business lender coming out of the last recession across the state. But the reality is we don't need to compete with banks, in my opinion. Let's let banks do what they do, and let's use the state dollars to focus on areas where there's truly a need and they're underbanked, as opposed to competing with the People's or Webster Bank. That just wasn't our thing. So we're really trying to much more targeted at communities where we feel like we can make a difference and there's a much bigger need.